The World Athletics Championships get underway in Moscow on the 10th of August, running through until the 18th of August. And yesterday, Australia named a 46-person squad to take on the rest of the world in Moscow. And Dion Russell is the chairman of Selectors for Athletics Australia. Dion, thanks for your time. And that's a pretty strong field. And where does that compare, 46, to our big teams we've sent over recent years?
Yeah, good morning, Michael. Yeah, it's a fantastic result for the sport, particularly the year after the Olympics. This is our equal second biggest team of 46 athletes. So a lot of the athletes have stepped up to the mark, particularly in the last month, pushing out qualifiers in advance of Moscow.
How differently does it work in terms of selection, Dion, than, say, for the Olympics? Because I remember at Olympics time last year there was lots of controversy about A qualifiers, and those with B qualifiers didn't get necessarily an opportunity to go to the Olympics. Is it more flexible with the World Championships?
It is. One of the fundamental differences this year in the policy is that Athletics Australia have chosen to adopt both the IAAF A and B qualifiers, whereas last year they decided just to go with the A qualifiers. So that's the big difference, which means we've got a number of athletes, actually 13 athletes who produced a B qualifier this season, who, of course, can be now considered under the policy. And some of those B qualifiers, by winning the national championships this year, secured their own selection by virtue of their own performances. So they selected themselves, which is great. So
will that policy stay the same at this stage for 2016 Olympics in Rio? Yeah, it's up to Athletics Australia on how they choose to pick the team for Rio. At the moment, we've been focusing on this year's World Championship policy. We've just recently released the Commonwealth Games policy for next year. And as we get closer to the next year's World Championships, that's really something Athletics Australia develop, and then they'll hand the policy over to the selection committee and ask us to apply it on their behalf. Okay, so what you're saying, it's pretty fluid. It could change. In terms of, before we get back to this team, the Commonwealth Games team, is this a similar selection process that we're going to see for the Commonwealth Games as we've just seen for the World Championships? Yeah, we've developed a set of A and B qualifiers as well for the Commonwealth Games, so it's a similar approach to this year as well. And we released that, it was about 4 weeks ago now.
Dion, give us the breakdown of the team. We've got 46 in number. What's the difference between men and women that will compete?
It's probably more males in the team. I think there's about 18 females in the team and 28 males. Mainly because we've got a full complement of relays for the guys, both the 4x1 and the 4x4, which is fantastic. We've got 6 athletes in each of those relay teams. So that's the breakdown. We've got 25 A qualifiers, so about half of the team are the A qualifiers, and then we've got the 13 B qualifiers and 10 relay athletes. So it's a good spread there. And We've got some sprinters in the team. I think you would recall there was a lot of publicity around that last year, but we've got Melbourne running the 1 and the 2 this year. We've got Josh Ross running the 200 for the guys as well. A young junior coming through, Caitlin Sargent, running the 400 as well. So we've got a good spread across the whole field of events, and we've actually got someone in every event across the male and the female, except for the steeplechase. Unfortunately, Genevieve Lacar is currently on crutches, so we weren't in a position to be able to pick her. What about the 400 metres? I noticed that you haven't got a runner there, but we've got a 4x4 team. That's right, yeah. We actually didn't have any individual that met the IAAF A or B standard, so technically we can't pick anyone because we don't have a qualifier in the individual event. The qualifying period started the 1st of October last year, so it doesn't take into account any of the performances in London, where, of course, Steve Solomon had a fantastic Olympic campaign. But that doesn't stop us putting in a relay team. Our relay team have qualified, so you'll see Steve Solomon's listed in that relay squad there. That's disappointing, isn't it? Because in terms of the 400 metres, we've always seemed to have someone, or even more than one, athlete from a men's standpoint in that event and doing pretty well. Yeah, it is an interesting one. You're right. We have had a history of success in the 400 in Australian athletics. But I guess the opportunity here is we've got a bit of a new wave coming through in the relay squad. So people like Alex Beck, Josh Ralph, obviously Steve Solomon, Craig Burns has been picked on his debut in the relay as well. So there's a new wave of guys coming through, and this is the first year of a 4-year Olympic cycle. So it's all about opportunities for these guys. Let's get them in there and get some experience, and hopefully we can build up a good pool of athletes. So we've got a strong team for Rio in 3 years' time.
No John Stephenson, Dion?
No, he's. I think he might be coming back in a couple of days to train or officially compete again. He's had a bit of time out of the sport.
Tell us about Mitchell Watt, noticeable absentee. What's wrong with him at the moment?
Yeah, he's had some injury concerns throughout the whole domestic season. He's had some back problems and sciatic problems. So he's kind of been off and on throughout the domestic season, very interrupted. But at the end of the day, he succumbed to his injuries and decided, well, I'll just try and get over those injuries and try and get back for Commonwealth Games next year. So hopefully we see him back and fit and well next domestic season.
Great to see Sally Pearce, and just a few days ago, get back to her best form. But what are your expectations, Dion, for this team at the World Championships in terms of medals?
Yeah, well, it's great to see Sally. Hopefully she's turning the corner. She's starting to get a few more races under her belt now, which is great. And the thing that we all know about Sally is she's a tough competitor, and she's got a never-say-die attitude. And you know, if she's on that starting line, she's just as good a chance as anyone else to win, and she's proven that she can do it on the big stage. So hopefully she's coming into some good form in the next couple of weeks. The other headline name, I guess, in the team would be someone like Jared Talent, who's a multiple Olympic medalist. He's just focusing on the 50k walk. With the scheduling this year, it's very hard to do both the 20k and the 50k, so he's just focusing on the longer distance. They're probably our two headline names in the team, but with this team, we also have another group of athletes who have shown that they can mix it with the best in the world in their events. Someone like a Kim Mickle in the javelin, who's been throwing very well in the Diamond League in Europe this year, with several top three finishes up against some of the big names in her event. Ben Harradine, we know, can make the final and can push the top guys as well. So he's another athlete that, who's got some experience and he's a good campaigner as well. And, of course, Danny Samuels is in there. We know she's won a world title previously in the discus, and she's thrown multiple lay qualifiers this season. So there's another athlete that hopefully we can get a great result from.
Sounds great, mate. Thanks for your time, and we'll be watching on, of course, come the 10th of August for the World Champs in Moscow. Thanks for your time, and good luck with the team.
No worries, guys. Thanks for your support.